Hey, good morning. Welcome to NFL Fantasy Matchup. I'm Jimmy. This is Jed and Tommy coming from Illinois. How you guys doing?
Our fade works.
Yeah, good job. Good intro. Sounded good.
Yeah.
We should all be in a good mood after the Bears win yesterday.
Well, that's how I was going to start, Jed. You got DJ Moore on your team. How do you feel after yesterday's performance?
Well, after sitting David Montgomery last week, I am so glad that I left in both DJ Moore and in one league I start Justin Fields. And man, that was wonderful. What a great game. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Were you guys surprised? Tom, were you surprised by how well they did yesterday?
You know, I was surprised that I thought the defense might be in the position to give up yet another game, but I was surprised to see how well Justin Fields actually did. And I blame it on the fact that Chase Claypool was just such a cancer in the clubhouse. That's why they're doing so well.
Also, the fact that Dick Butkus passed away yesterday, I was like, man, they got to win, and they didn't make too much of it, but I thought it was a nice win.
Well, I think a lot of times they have that sentimentality that's going in for them as well too, right? And so that they had even much more purpose. But even 2 weeks ago when we were talking about it, Justin Fields is at least showing some pretty good potential. And it might be somebody that you might want to pay attention to as well too.
Oh, fantasy wise, he's been great. I started him the last 2 weeks. He's been top 10 both weeks. No, I don't think you can. I don't think he's to the point where you just start him and just don't think about it. I think you got to look at the matchups and play the odds. But he's definitely someone to consider. In fact, it's interesting. I was looking back to see how I got him, and the person who had him dropped him to pick up CJ Stroud, which I think in a dynasty league is probably a pretty good move. Stroud has been pretty good, but if you look at it right now, the last 2 weeks, Fields has been better than Stroud.
Wait, you're talking about our dynasty league, right?
Yeah.
Someone dropped Justin Fields.
Oh, no, not in our dynasty league, in a different league.
Yeah, Charlene still has Justin Fields. I don't think she's dropping him.
Yeah. Cole Kmet, actually, 5 of 5, 42 yards and a touchdown. Is he somebody? I know he's out there on a number of waiver wires. Is he somebody you want to pick up?
More so, I'm actually looking at the other guy who's a tight end. Logan Thomas did actually really well. I mean, Cole Kmet had 2 great games, but Logan Thomas, 77 yards, 5 catches. I thought he did pretty well with 1 touchdown.
Yeah, we talked about how weak the tight end position is. I think, if you're desperate, Cole Kmet is someone to look at. Again, nice safety blanket for Justin Fields. I think the other thing I'll mention is I have Herbert starting, not starting. I have him on one team, and I did not start him. And again, seeing how much Roschon Johnson was playing too, I think with the Chicago rushing game, it's basically Fields. And so, you got to be really careful if you're going to use Herbert.
Yeah. Hey, he's gotten to a point they're not even playing Deontay Foreman, which I love Deontay Foreman last year. But last night they had all 3 running backs gone, and so they had to start a rookie yesterday.
Actually, I think someone actually should consider picking up Deontay Foreman, possibly because Roschon Johnson is out for concussion, so he'll be out next week against the Vikings. And also, you know how long Herbert might potentially be out for. So Foreman might be a good pickup.
Well, let's see, because a lot of times if he passes concussion protocol, Roschon Johnson might be in a position to start next week.
Yeah, but they're playing the Vikings. They're going to be behind. And so I don't know how much running they're going to be doing. So I don't know. I think the Chicago backfield is a tough one.
Okay. Hey, one question. What do you guys think about the Commanders back, the running backs? Because neither Brian Robinson nor Antonio Gibson really did much yesterday.
Yeah, but Sam Howell looks good as a quarterback, 288 yards and a couple of touchdowns. I think he looks really good, but the running backs, Antonio Gibson, just did not do well.
Yeah, I agree. I would stay away. I will agree with Howell. I was impressed. He just his confidence in throwing. And actually, I really liked the commentary. I don't know if you guys heard that. They were saying how, everyone was really high on him coming out of year 2 in college. And then in year 3, basically all of his superstars left. They all went to the NFL. And so there was a big dip in his production. But I agree. Last night he looked NFL ready for sure.
Yeah, actually, I was wrong. It was 37-51 for 388, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do have a complaint that DJ Moore did not go out of bounds. That could have been a 70-yard touchdown.
Yeah, agree. That was bogus.
Yes,
That was bogus.
he did
Yeah.
not have his foot out of bounds. I'm sitting there. The guy had a 70-something yard touchdown.
Well, Jed, it's funny because I was driving right when you texted us during the first part and you wrote, wow,
Yeah.
and I was like, what, did they already score already? And I was like, it turned out to be a great game. I loved it.
Yeah, no, it was fun. And DJ Moore, I will say, I'm playing against him in one league, and in depending on your scoring, but in that league, he had 45 points. So I was like, over.
Yeah.
I'm in a couple leagues with DJ Moore. He scored 49 points for me right there.
Yeah. Well, anyways, next week they play Vikings. They play the Vikings versus the Bears. What do you guys think? Do you guys think they can beat the Vikings?
No chance. I don't think so. I'm happy the Bears got a win, but honestly, I think this season we got to be playing for number 1 and number 2 picks. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yes. Even if Justin Fields does well and you get the number 1 draft pick, you got to get a defensive line because their defense stinks. They just have no pressure.
Yeah. And Marvin Harrison Jr., I mean, he really is looking like a once-in-a-generation kind of talent, so I hope they don't pass on that guy.
Yeah. Me neither. All right. Hey, let's look at a couple of news and notes. Cooper Kupp coming off the IR. How do you guys think he'll do, and how will that affect Puka Nacua?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I've got Puka in 2 different leagues. I love him. If you have him, you've been enjoying the ride, but man, it's hard to see how he can keep up the pace. Although the Rams offense, I will say as a whole, has been a surprise for me. I did not think they would be as good and Stafford would still be as, productive. And so we have to see, but I think you still got to start him. I think you got to play him, but wait, to see beyond that.
Yeah. I think the person who will struggle the most will be Tutu Atwell. I think a lot of times Von Jefferson is just not even in the conversation anymore. It'll come down to Cooper Kupp. Puka will probably do well for another 2 weeks, but then from that point, you'll see by the 3rd week, Cooper will get the majority, and Kupp will get the majority. Puka will then get the second most, but I think he'll still get his share actually.
Yeah. McVay, I was listening to ESPN. They were saying McVay is a better coach than people realize. Last year he didn't have much of a line nor a quarterback, right? Because Stafford was out. But this year he's got a good line. You've seen what he did with Kyron Williams. You've seen what he's done with Puka Nacua. And now that they have a pretty good line and also quarterback, they're doing pretty good this year. So
it's interesting because Philly is, they're playing. So it's Philly at LA this week, right? And Philly's the favorite, 4.5 point favorite. But man, you could see this being a game that Philadelphia could lose. This is a tricky one. I think the Rams have been playing so well. So,
Tom, I know you have Javonte Williams on the number team. He returns to practice today, even though if you look at waiver wire pickups, McLaughlin was one of the highest waiver wire pickups. Are you playing Javonte Williams?
No, I'm not. Yeah, he's looked like a shell of his former self. And now Sean Payton lost McLaughlin. He just talks about McLaughlin all the time. I don't think a lot of times Javonte Williams is in danger of losing his job just yet. Look, he came back from a huge injury, so let's see how he does. But I'm not playing him. He's sitting on my bench right now, along with Alexander Madison, are the 2 running backs that I had high hopes for that are sitting on my bench.
Hey, but you did good with the Miami back at the rookie. And I thought that might have been a flash in the pan, but man, that paid out for you last week. So far, it's seeming like, because I've got Mostert in one league, and that seems like it was a good pickup.
Mostert did not do well in this last game. He pretty much came back to below normalcy, right? It was an Achane really is that running back that they're focusing on right now.
Yeah. Hey, Jimmy and I are in a 14-team league. I've been trying to trade for Achane. I'm even willing to trade Bijan Robinson for Puka and Achane.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Do you think I should do it? Would you trade Bijan Robinson somebody else for Puka Nacua and Achane?
It depends. If you had a weaker team, that I generally don't like 2-for-1 trades, but if you have a weaker team and you need to get, just more star players, then that's a great trade because it's not much of a drop from Bijan to Achane, and then you're picking up another, solid wide receiver. So it just depends on the makeup of your team.
Yeah. Oh, it's better than we're in this 14-team league, and this guy there's this one guy. He has offered me 10 trades with Drake London and Jalen Waddle. Drake London and Bijan Robinson. Drake London, and I'm sitting there. And I had to finally say that Quit sending me Drake London trades.
It's interesting. I did see a thing on Kyle Pitts. Some commentators were saying that Kyle Pitts is still. The commentators were saying they think he's the best tight end in the NFL. He's just not being used. And I was like, do you guys agree with that? Do you think that's true? Because I've really given up. I don't have him in any leagues. And it just maybe that's true, but I just don't see it. Like he's just no production there.
My argument a lot of times is I agree with it because he doesn't get a lot of targets.
Yeah.
Everything I'm reading, he does not get targets. He had less than 7 targets in last week's game.
Yeah.
I've seen him on so many waiver wires right now, and I sit there trying to decide, do I want to pick him up? But in order for me to pick him up, I got to get rid of somebody like Jordan Addison or a Flowers from Baltimore. And right now, I've at least found those guys to be more valuable than a Kyle Pitts. But yeah, you never know.
I think Addison's going to bounce back this week, by the way. He laid a goose egg the last time out, but I think he's going to have a good week. But yeah, I agree with you. Addison's a guy that you still want to hold on to. The other person for me is I'm still holding on to Charbonnet in Seattle, the backup for King Walker. And he's the one that I'm like, man, should I keep holding him or dropping him? Yeah. But I'm still going to hold on.
I've held on to him. I really do think, him and also Tajay Spears, because of all the struggles that Derrick Henry has been going through, I've been holding on to him as well.
Henry had a good game last week, though, man.
Yeah,
you guys were talking about Seattle as well too. Charbonnet as well too. Geno Smith has not been as good as he was last year. They're 3-1, but their wide receivers, Tyler Lockett, DJ Metcalf, Kenny Walker has been really, really doing well though.
So, Miles Sanders limited in Thursday's practice. Most likely, Chuba Hubbard, if he can't go, will be the starter. You guys paying attention to anything that Carolina is doing right now?
Yes, I'm paying attention to all day, Carolina. You just keep losing because I need Martin Harrison.
Yeah, exactly. No, I like Chuba Hubbard. I think that team is just not. This is not a year for them to be winning. And again, at the running back position, but I'll say because running back position is so tough. If you need help, Chuba is not a bad start this week. I don't think that's a bad play at all.
Jim, let me ask you a quick question in chat because I heard this on the ESPN debate. Is the Carolina Panthers regretting drafting Bryce Young over CJ Stroud?
Oh, yeah. Look at how good CJ Stroud is doing, right? Because they always says that CJ Stroud had poise, that he had a good arm, and he was a lot taller than Bryce Young. Bryce Young has been out quite a bit, He's out in practices. He missed a game. CJ Stroud surprised me. Him and Anthony Richardson. I think they could have picked one of those two.
Yeah, I would say they regret it, not because necessarily that the player. I still think Bryce Young is a talent and they can build around him. I think it's more just what they gave up to get him, right? What they had to move. I think they regret not having DJ Moore. I think on the other hand, for Chicago, I think that was a great move. Everything has worked out really well, but I think that's more the issue because I still think, Richardson has been great. CJ Stroud looks good, but the three of those guys, if you build around any of those three guys, I think you're feeling pretty good.
And the very fact you gave up next year's number 1 draft pick or high draft pick is Bryce Young to be good enough over CJ Stroud where you're not regretting it.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. If you're going to give up all of those draft picks, right, you better make sure the quarterback that you pick up either has a really, really high ceiling, like an Anthony Richardson, or somebody who is going to be pretty steady like a CJ Stroud, right? And so I think that's the reason why a lot of people are surprised about Bryce Young because he had so many things that went against him. Yes, he was quick, and yes, he might have a better, better stats than the other two quarterbacks. But a lot of these small quarterbacks, they don't last long. Look at what's going on with Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
I
saw you picked up Kyler Murray in one league.
Well, you know what? I have him stashed in there. Just to keep an IR spot, but I don't think I'm. But then I thought about you because you were the one who dropped him.
Yeah, right. No, I had high hopes, but we'll see.
Jed, okay. I had to change my wallpaper. I am all in on Achane. All in.
Yeah, no, he's great. That was a good pickup. You guys heard that Tommy basically blew half of his budget to get him. But at the time I made fun of it. I thought, man, that was a big gamble, but it paid out. Last week he had 2 touchdowns and killed the value of Mostert. Yep.
I spent $100 on that man.
But we have $200, right?
Yes,
in our league. So $100 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Jim, can we talk about Breece Hall? Robert Saleh says that Brees Hall has no pitch count. I think a lot of times we're going to see Brees Hall go.
You think? I mean, Zach Wilson has done better, right? And I know that you've kept Brees Hall in a number of your leagues, and you haven't traded him. You really think that he's going to go off?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think a lot of times Dalvin Cook has been a shell of himself. I'm looking forward to seeing what Brees Hall does.
Yeah, and they're playing the Broncos, so they're playing a team that's given up 70 this year. So I think you're right. I think this is if you've been holding out for Brees Hall, you've probably debated sitting him, not playing him. This is not the week to do that. You should play him. If he still doesn't produce in this game, then I would cut bait. But I think the Jets are due. I could see them winning this.
I would not be surprised if Zach Wilson does better going forward, right? Maybe the first couple games he needed an adjustment, given all the stuff that happened with Aaron Rodgers and the fact that he was demoted. But this last game, he did pretty well, right? And Brees Hall is a good running back. And Dalvin Cook, I mean, it's funny whenever these running backs go to another team, like Elliott, right, in New England, they never do well. So I would say still Brees Hall is that number one running back for them.
Before that injury, remember how good he was? He was just going crazy. I think a lot of times we may not see that immediately. I think we'll see that in subsequent weeks.
Yeah. So, all right. T. Higgins remains sidelined. So Tyler Boyd was one of the number one pickups this week. What's going on with Cincinnati?
Yeah,
have you noticed that people are dropping Joe Burrow?
What?
Yeah, there's a couple of
leagues
that
I haven't. Where in the leagues that we're in?
Yeah, in a couple of leagues. Wow. If you look at our older league, our 15-year league, Joe Burrow is sitting on the waiver wire.
No way. Really? That I would pick up. That's a mistake.
Oh, actually,
I mean, yeah, the Bengals, there's definitely something going on that we're not hearing about. Like there's either an injury somewhere or something, because something is wrong. Or I don't know if their offensive coach changed or something. There is something certainly wrong in Cincinnati. So I don't have a problem with someone sitting a Joe Burrow and picking up like a CJ Stroud or someone on the waiver to stick in for the week. But to drop him, that's a mistake. I mean, Burrow is still a potential top 5.
I like the fact that you talk so long because Jimmy's sitting there and not paying attention anymore because he's picking up Joe Burrow.
He's gonna go pick him up.
He's sitting there with his eyes down. I know he's picking up Joe Burrow right now, Jed.
Yeah, that's a mistake. I mean, if anyone's dropping Joe Burrow,
I can't believe people drop Joe Burrow. Like I was like, that's a good quarterback right there.
Well, honestly, that's why in my one league when I saw someone drop Justin Fields, like right away, I was like, I'm for sure. So
yeah. So. By the way, on a separate note, a lot of times is who's been very highly rated this week is Michael Wilson. Have you guys been watching him? 7 catches, 76 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Okay, so here's why I've started picking up Michael Wilson, because all of the news outlets here in Arizona is reporting that there is a chance that Marquise Brown is going to get traded. And so as a result, Michael Wilson becomes the number one wide receiver. Yeah. So that's why I started picking him up, because he's actually done pretty good.
I was watching the game and last week on Red Zone, I said, who is Michael Wilson? And I didn't really pay attention to him this week on the waiver wire. And I started seeing everyone picking him up, and everyone's talking very highly about Michael Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Cardinals, I would say, are one of the surprise teams. I just thought they would be horrible this year with Murray out and everything, but they have played surprisingly well. You guys know I've got James Conner, and he has not been bad as a number 2 running back at all. So I've been pretty happy.
And their quarterback is actually pretty good.
Josh Dobbs is not bad. I mean, wouldn't you a lot of times be playing Josh Dobbs over Dak Prescott, over Joe Burrow at this point?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's someone, exactly. He's like the kind of quarterback you can consider if you're in a position where you had a Joe Burrow and he just hasn't been producing. Those are the kind of quarterbacks you got to look at. Yeah. I mean, playing the Bengals, you got to assume Bengals are playing against the Cardinals, but it's in Arizona. So there's probably going to be a lot of points there. So, yeah, it's not a bad week to play him.
Yeah.
So do you guys think Saquon Barkley is coming back this week?
No, not at all. But at the same time, I would like for him, because I need Darren Waller to really do well, because they haven't been throwing the ball to Darren Waller. Saquon Barkley opens all of the lanes and throwing lanes, everything like that. I need Darren Waller to do well. Hey, by the way, speaking of Darren Waller, if you guys were to guess, who is the 4th highest tight end in terms of points this season? I'm not sure if you'll ever get him. who's the fourth highest tight end in terms of points this
Is
season.
it's not the guy out of
Detroit.
yeah.
Laporta.
Nope,
Yeah.
not Laporta. He's actually higher than
Yeah, Laporta's 3, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the guy in Green Bay, right?
Nope. The guy in New England.
Oh, Hunter. Which one?
Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry. Oh yeah, he had a couple
Hunter
touchdowns.
Henry. I said Hunter Henry is her fourth tight
Hunter
end with
Henry
the
was
most
great.
points.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I was just gonna say Saquon Barkley and the Giants. So they're playing the Dolphins in Miami. The Giants are going to be behind that game. They're not going to be running the ball. They're going to have to throw it. So there's a good opportunity for Darren Waller. Like they got to get him involved. But Miami's going to put some points on the board. So Giants are going to be playing catch up.
Right. You know who stinks? The Miami wide receivers just stink.
Which one? Jalen Waddle?
What are you talking about?
No, I'm sorry. The New York Giants. The
Giants.
Giants.
The Giants. I was going to say the
Giants
Miami wide receivers are the best.
Stink.
Yes.
Kenny Galladay could have done better if the part of the New York Giants.
Yeah, no, the Giants are. We've talked about that's a team you want to stay away from. Daniel Jones, I think, has regressed. Last year seemed like he was on the way up. This year has not been good. No, I'm staying away from the Giants for sure. On the flip side, play everybody.
Boneheaded interceptions. And why are they always on network TV on Monday or Sunday? I'm sitting there. I'm so bored of the Giants.
Hey, I need to ask you guys a question. Okay, Joe. So Burrow is sitting out here. Do I pick him up even though I have Josh Allen?
See, that's why he hasn't been talking, Jed, because he's sitting there looking at Joe Burrow.
Here's who I need to drop. I need to either drop Godwin, Quentin Johnston, Tajay Spears, Charbonnet, or Tank Dell.
Charbonnet.
No, I think no. I'm tough. Not. I think Charbonnet is gonna. I actually think he's gonna end up being the starting running back.
It can't be Tank Dell. I like Tank Dell.
Yeah. Tajay Spears. Do I drop him for Tajay Spears? And do I really
only one I would consider is Chris Godwin. He's older, and when Mike Evans is
I like Godwin a lot.
If Mike Evans is out,
I like Godwin.
Look at what he did last week, 116 yards.
Yeah, and guys, Baker Mayfield has been one of the surprises of the season. I mean, that guy's playing pretty good.
See,
all right, Tajay Spears.
I'm only picking him up purely because,
that's a good trade bait.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, that's worth it. I'd pick if you didn't have a backup quarterback anyway, I'd pick him up. That's worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll drop him for Tajay Spears, right?
Yeah.
Well, then I'm gonna go and pick up Tajay Spears later.
You guys are hilarious.
No, Tajay Spears. How about Quentin Johnston? He's a disappointment.
No, because Mike Williams is out for the year. If Mike Williams was not out for the year, I drop him. But what do you think? Jordan Palmer's going to do well? I don't think Jordan Palmer's going to do well.
No, you know what? I'm not going to pick up Burrow. I don't need Burrow. Like I got what do you call it? The Buffalo guy.
You know what's going to happen now that you said that? Allen's going to get hurt this week. And then you're going to be like, man, I should have picked up Burrow.
Yeah, but you know what? Did you know Allen's the favorite for MVP?
Really?
Yeah, he's the number one favorite for him and Christian McCaffrey.
I was going to say, I still remember at the beginning of the season, I said CMC, and you were talking about potentially, I think maybe next week we're going to talk about redraft, like how we would have redrafted. I think CMC is your number one pick.
No. Lamar Jackson's doing pretty well. Did you see that great game that he had? He's coming back. He's my starting quarterback in a bunch of leagues.
Yeah, but I don't know. Not as a number one pick. I'm not picking a quarterback as number one.
Yeah. So, anyways, hey,
McCaffrey is doing really well.
Yeah, McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill, those have been my guys, man. Those guys are amazing.
Hey, let me run through a couple of waiver wire pickups, and you guys tell me if this person is going to do well. Jaleel McLaughlin, running back for the Broncos.
Right? Yes. Yeah. If he has a great game this week, Sean Payton's going to play him for at least until his hot hand runs out.
Yeah, I think he's got a good opportunity. I mean, they're playing the Jets though, right? Jets defenses are pretty good. Although what's his name is out, right? The defensive end for the Jets. So he has an opportunity to do well. So I agree with that.
Jameson Williams, wide receiver, Detroit Lions.
In a 12-team league, I would, because you know why? He is not St. Brown, but he could be the second one.
What about Dynasty? Would you guys pick him up in the Dynasty League?
Ooh.
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know that to pick him up, but playing him this week is good. I mean, they're playing Carolina, and it's in Detroit, so they should put up points.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this. Michael Wilson, Arizona.
Arizona, yeah, definitely. Have you guys heard anything on Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis? That's the other one I'm wondering because he's
Oh yeah,
technically.
I was going to ask you about that. I have not. But
Yeah.
He
Zach
did say in
Moss-
his press conference, they asked him, "Are you playing?" He says, "I am here for now." That's all you said.
Interesting.
I'm practicing. I'm here for now.
Yeah, I've got him sitting in IR in a couple leagues, so we'll see.
Oh, do you have him in your in your IR position?
Yeah.
The problem with him, right? This week you're gonna have to take him off IR.
Yeah, exactly. So something's going to have to happen. So we'll see.
Okay. All right, let's run through a couple games.
Actually, can I ask one more player?
Uh-huh.
Jahmyr Gibbs. If he was sitting there, are you trading for Jahmyr Gibbs? Because you know what? They picked him very, very high. David Montgomery is your short yardage back. But as the season goes on, some people are going to be scared of Jahmyr Gibbs. Would you make a trade offer for Jahmyr Gibbs?
I actually still have high hopes for Jahmyr Gibbs. I actually think that by the end of the season, he's gonna. My guess is they're taking it slow with him, but I actually think that he's actually a pretty good running back. I would keep him.
Yeah, I would. I don't mind the move to keep him or trade for him, but I'll say as a Montgomery owner, he's just been producing. I mean, you gotta go with where the points are. He's been top 10. So, but no, I don't give up on Gibbs. Too much talent.
Yeah. Hey, Jed, Detroit does look at Jamal Williams last year. They do great with these short yardage guys.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was a mistake for me I mean, Detroit, if you've been, everyone's been making fun of them, the laughing stock for, but they've turned things around. Detroit is legit. That is a place you can go and get points. They're a good team. The other one I'll say I missed on, I don't know about you guys, is DeAndre Swift in Philadelphia. That was I totally missed that.
Yeah, but
he's been playing well, man. That's a good line for him to be.
Jed, you know why Detroit is so good? Have you ever watched? I watched Aiden Hutchinson. Wow, he seems to be on every play. That guy is so good.
Yeah, agreed.
By the way, did you guys see that the NFL is getting criticized for all of that talk about Taylor Swift?
Yes.
Getting annoyed by it. I mean,
yes,
because there's a lot of people out there who thinks that this is just a way for them to like sell products for Travis Kelce and some other people.
Oh, it's definitely. I mean, so as a marketer, right? You guys know I'm in marketing. Like this is a dream scenario for NFL because you're always trying to get audiences you don't normally reach. And the Taylor Swift, the Swifties, that's an audience that they don't normally reach. And so it's a golden opportunity for the NFL. And I heard that Travis Kelce actually came out and said to the NFL, like, you guys got to chill out on how much promotion you're doing with Taylor Swift. There's no way they're doing that because it's a rare opportunity. They're going to keep pushing it.
Hey, look, for all those people who criticize, would you guys do anything differently? No, you would not do anything differently. You take advantage of the situation.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing I read, which I do think is true, is it gives the unfair, perception that maybe the NFL and the referees are going to favor Kansas City. I do think that's true, and particularly given how much betting is going on now and the connection with the NFL, they got to be really careful. But there's no way they're going to back down from that.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. Let's run through a couple of games. Actually, let's start with this game: Kansas City versus Minnesota Vikings. How much do you think Kansas City is favored by over the Vikings? Jed, you're the resident.
Yeah. So Kansas City is a 4-point favorite. It's in Minnesota. This is a game I might take Minnesota here. Like I said, I think there's going to be a bounce back from Addison. Minnesota has not been playing as well this year, but they're really due, and it's in Minnesota. Kansas City's been a little bit up and down. I can see Minnesota winning this one.
Who's the running back you guys would play for Minnesota?
You know what? Still Alexander Madison, but Cam Akers is making a strong case to get more playing time.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, exactly. I heard the same that he's
Cam Akers actually did pretty well in the limited spots, and Madison has not, to be a full-fledged starter, he has not shown the power that Dalvin Cook had last year.
It's so, as I've always said, Cam Akers is a superstar in the making.
Right? It's so interesting how these number 2 running backs, so Madison and you think of Tony Pollard in Dallas, like how everyone assumes once you become number 1, you're going to continue the production and just be more. But it doesn't always work. Like sometimes they just produce well when they're getting 10, 15 carries. All of a sudden you give them 20 carries and it just doesn't work. It's really interesting, but sometimes that's the way it plays out.
Yeah. Rashee Rice last week was the number 1 wide receiver for the Chiefs, right? Second in receptions after Travis Kelce. would you pick up Rashee Rice?
No, I never have owned a Kansas City wide receiver because of the only person I want is Kelsey. It's just too, it's designed. Once they got rid of Tyreek Hill, the offense is designed to be spread out. So you're never going to have a consistent wide receiver in Kansas City that you can start.
Yeah. Jed, you didn't catch my comment. I told you that Cam Akers is a superstar in the making.
I did catch that, but
superstar.
I think he might be. I don't think you're wrong. He has the talent. I mean, as you said, he has shown the flashes, and maybe Minnesota's the place for him for that to come out because Madison is better as a number 2 than a number 1.
Yeah, remember I was all in. The 2 guys I was all in, Cam Akers and J.K. Dobbins. I was all in on both of them.
You were all in on Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, and Antonio Gibson. And look at where
Antonio Gibson. I have high hopes for Antonio Gibson. Oh.
Okay, Buffalo Bills. They are a 6-point favorite over Jacksonville Jaguars in the London game.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence.
Jacksonville has to play 2 back-to-back games in London. That's hilarious.
No, that's because they want to eventually move there. So essentially, they're trying to make London their home.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, so I have Trevor Lawrence. I have in a couple leagues, I've sat him the last 2 weeks. Actually, one of them I was telling you I played Justin Fields over. This is a game that I don't know. What do you guys think? This is one where I feel like Buffalo Bills' defense is pretty strong, but you feel like there's going to be a lot of points there. Jacksonville's going to be throwing a lot, so I could see Trevor Lawrence having a good game, even if it's just garbage time.
Yeah. ETN has not been good though, and so I think a lot of times that I have high hope for ETN. He just has not been good.
Hey, did we talk about the Toy Story broadcast? I don't know if you guys watched that. I really enjoyed that. If you
I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, it's because I didn't want to pay for ESPN Plus, so I was watching that game.
It was awesome. I had a really good time, and I was really impressed with the technology. I mean, it was live, pretty much, and you could see like there was enough where you could actually see like people juking and people making, like even celebrations after sacks and touchdowns. It was live. So it was
very good. Yeah. How they were able to do it live, I don't know, but it was good. Hey, but can we go back to the Jacksonville, Jed, what we were saying? You know who I get frustrated by? Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
He frustrates me. I have him in a bunch of leagues. I picked him high. I paid a lot of 38 yards, 1 touchdown. I'm glad he got the touchdown, but if you didn't get the touchdown, you're stuck at 38 yards.
Yeah, no, that's why both Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley they had that great game, first game out of the season, and then after that, they have not really produced. So I've been very careful with both those guys and have sat them in a couple leagues.
Yeah,
but this game is worth paying attention to, right? Because who knows if Doug Peterson's the one calling the plays right now. But last week they did better than the week before, and I'm hoping that they can improve on it this year against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. And it's good to see Jacksonville playing back-to-back games in London. Let's see what happens. I mean, I think it might be good to have something like
it could be an advantage. It could be a strong advantage for them in Buffalo.
Yeah.
The distance you fly to LA is the same difference from East Coast to London. It's about 8 hours both ways.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Atlanta, they are 2-point favorites over the Houston Texans, which I'm surprised by. Do you think Texans can beat Atlanta, and how do you think CJ Stroud's going to be?
Oh, keep watching Miko Collins and Tank Dell. They've been doing really well at the expense of Pierce.
Right?
Yeah, at the expense of Pierce, but keep watching Tank Dell and also what's his name, Nico Collins.
Tom, are you even playing Damian Pierce these days, or is he on your bench?
I'm not playing Pierce.
Yeah, unfortunately you've been sitting him. But so just so you know, so it's Houston in Atlanta. Yes, Atlanta's favored by 2, but that actually means they're not favored because when you're the home team, you automatically get 3 points. So the fact that they're actually 2-point favorites shows that the betting public all think that Houston's going to win. And I agree with that. I think Houston should win this game.
I think so as well, too. Yeah.
And Desmond Ridder is not NFL quarterback, all right? They're going to be looking for a new quarterback next year.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So here's the next game. New York Giants, Miami Dolphins. Guess, without looking, how much do you think Dolphins are favored by?
18 points.
No, it's not 18 points. It rarely goes over like 10, but yeah, they're right. They're 11. They're 11.
Yeah, no, it's pretty high. I mean, New York stinks. Look at how bad Daniel Jones did last week against the Seattle defense. Yeah.
No, I've been
And
enjoying, again, as long as Tua stays healthy, man, this has been a fun offense to watch. And that coach, I love the coach, right? The Miami coach is such a he's so different. I love it.
Yeah.
and of course they're on prime time again.
No, but I'll tell you this: A-Chain's going to do well, right? A-Chain's play him, right? Like whoever's listening, make sure you play A-Chain. A-Chain's going to go all over New York Giants.
Yeah. Yep. And Tyreek Hill is due for a big game. And another person due for a big game, Jalen Waddle, is due for a big game because he has been average with the concussion. He's due for a big game.
Anyone out there who's holding Mostert, I'm still playing him because, again, I think there's going to be a lot of points here, and Mostert can get one of those TDs. So I'm still playing him in case anyone's wondering.
What about Darren Waller? Would you guys play Darren Waller?
Yep.
If you're
garbage
stuck with
time.
him,
Yeah, they're
But
going to
if-
be trying to throw a lot to catch up.
Yeah.
They're going to be behind, so Waller's the only guy who can catch it.
But if Hunter Henry's sitting there on your waiver, may as well look at Hunter Henry.
Actually, you know who's actually done pretty well for me from tight end? It's coincides with this next game, Cowboys versus 49ers. Jason Ferguson, a tight end for Dallas. He's actually been pretty good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know who's not been very good? Dak Prescott. I had to drop him.
No, Dak Prescott is not a good fantasy quarterback. I think he's a good NFL quarterback, but he's a very bad fantasy quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah, and Pollard too as well. He's been a big disappointment. I think Dallas as a whole for fantasy has been. I don't know how CeeDee Lamb has been, but they've been a disappointment as far as potential points.
Yeah.
You know who's been the best quarterback ever? Won the Mount Rushmore of Dallas Cowboy quarterbacks? This guy right here.
Yeah, Romo.
One of my favorite fantasy players of all time.
Still a great commentator too. I still love listening to him.
He was my starting quarterback for 8 years. I missed this guy.
8 years, my goodness.
Yes, I loved him. He was always my starting quarterback. I loved him in fantasy.
So San Francisco is favored by about 4 points over Dallas Cowboys. Purdy, do you think Purdy is still a pretty good quarterback fantasy wise?
Well, more so, I think a lot of times he's a good quarterback, but look at Dallas Cowboys have been carrying one of my teams in fantasy. They've been so good. They are going to pressure Dallas San Francisco like crazy.
Yeah, Dallas's defense, Pearson, he's one of the few defensive players I'll just watch him. Like you just watch that guy. He's amazing. And so, yeah, I agree. They're going to be under a lot of pressure, but Purdy is the real deal. He's not getting the coverage, but man, that guy is the real deal. And so I still think you play all your San Francisco players.
Yeah. Debo Samuel's been limited in practice. He didn't have a very good game last week. How did Ayuk do?
Very good. He got me 20 points.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ayuk has been great. That like we talked about before the season, Ayuk has been the clear number one with Purdy in there. So he's been great.
But I bet you a lot of times Dallas is not going to let Christian McCaffrey run over them. I think they're going to stop the run and force Purdy to try to throw it in the air.
See, I'm surprised that's not been the strategy for most of these teams, right? If you know McCaffrey's going to be that player, you do everything you can. You stack him in the box and you make Purdy try to beat you. But Greg, what do you call it? Kittle has not been well for as a tight end. You would think that he's usually in the upper top 4 or 5 tight ends, but this year he's not been good.
That's why CMC is so valuable. I think teams are scheming to stop him. The problem is he's an even better wide receiver. So you try to stop him, he's going to take you out wide, and then you have no linebacker that can cover him, and so then he's going to be open for just those short screens and passes. That's why he's so valuable.
And Purdy is so pretty accurate to the point where then you have Debo Samuel, then you have Ayuk, then you have Kittle sitting right there.
Yeah. All right, last game for us to look at, Monday night game. This is the revenge game, all right? Green Bay versus Las Vegas Raiders. Devontae Adams was out for a chunk of time last week in their game. This week, he said he is going to be playing against the Green Bay. Do you think he's going to go off?
I would play him for sure. And we talked about revenge games. Teams get up for it, players get up for it. I would definitely play him.
Yeah.
And Jordan Love is another guy we should talk about. If you're looking for a quarterback, you've had Joe Burrow. I mean, Jordan Love has been a pretty darn good quarterback in getting you points.
Yeah. Devontae Adams will do well this week.
Did you know Jordan Love? Here's a stat. Jordan Love, number 4 in terms of total fantasy points this year for quarterbacks, which I was surprised. I was like, whoa, number 4 is pretty good.
I don't think he's that good. I think you'll continue to see as defenses start getting used to him. He's going to struggle. I look, Jordan Love isn't that good, but Christian Watson, let's see how well he does.
Tom, you're playing.
By the way,
Aaron Jones.
That's one thing I was sitting there. Aaron Jones got me 1.19 points last week. Oh, now it's a good thing George Pickens got me 1.9, so he was just as bad, but Aaron Jones did nothing for me.
Yeah, I don't know what's been wrong with Aaron Jones and the whole.
No, it's because he's injured, and he's injured, and I think they kind of pushed him to come back early. And remind me who's the other guy, the big
AJ Dillon.
AJ Dillon has not done anything. Usually, he's a pretty good replacement when Aaron Jones is out, but the last 2 or 3 games, he has stunk it up.
I agree with you, Tommy, though, that Jordan Love is good. He's not as good as it looks. And mainly, I think it's because of schedule. I think they had a really soft schedule to start the season, and it's made him look better than he is. But still, if you need help, it's not a bad place to look.
When I see Green Bay, they do well when they get Aaron Jones running and going. So he catches balls out of the backfield. He'll run for 10 yards. Then you come in with A.J. Dillon, get 3, 4, 5. It then opens up all the passing lanes for Christian Watson, Dobbs, all of that. That's when they do really, really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you guys think that Green Bay will lose, or who do you think is going to win in this game?
I have a feeling Green Bay will win.
Oh, I like Las Vegas. I would take Vegas.
So, all right. Well, good luck for this week. It'll be interesting.
Are we going to talk NBA basketball? Or
yeah, I was going to say, Tommy predicted the Drew Holiday trade to Boston. That was
Boston.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that
Boston
was a great,
really needed
trade.
someone.
Yeah, no, I like that trade for Boston a lot. I think, as we talked about, Drew Holiday, there may be a Boston versus Milwaukee matchup down the line, and Drew Holiday will have the opportunity to push a little. So we'll see how that goes.
Hey, I'm looking at the ESPN players that will break out this coming season. Let me tell you a couple of players, and you tell me what you think about them. Nikolai Vujicic from the Chicago Bulls, Jabari Smith from Houston Rockets, Cam Johnson from the Brooklyn Nets, Devin Vassell from San Antonio Spurs, Jordan Poole from the Washington Wizards, and Franz Wagner from the Orlando Magic. Those ones are expected to break out this year.
Yeah.
Franz Wagner, people have been talking about him, and I had him last year. No, I wouldn't agree with that one.
He was a rookie last year, right?
Yeah, I like the Jordan Poole one only because of garbage points. I wouldn't want him on my team, but in Washington, he's going to get all the play he wants. He's going to load it up. He's going to be a filler.
It will be him and Kyle Kuzma, especially with Porzingis gone, and you're going to be behind so much. You're going to be chucking threes like crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, here's the busts. And they say a bust is not someone who's going to be really bad, but the player who's expected to be a good starter, but will not live up to expectations. Zion Williamson from the Pelicans, Anthony Davis with the Lakers, and also Chris Paul from the Golden State Warriors.
The first two, just because of injury alone, Anthony Davis, as soon as he gets going, he'll be out. Same thing with Zion Williamson. I just don't like both of them.
You guys see how cut that guy is now? He lost a lot of weight, and he started going to the gym. And so I was like, whoa, he looks pretty good, actually.
I hope he turns it around. He's such a great talent. I do hope that he can stay healthy. It's fun to watch him when he does get to play. But Chris Paul, I mean, come on. That's been like every year for the past 5 years. You could say that. I've always said Chris Paul is a little bit overrated. I still think he's overrated as a player, even. And I've never liked the guy. He's the Aaron Rodgers of the NBA.
The guy that I'm going to go after, because I know Jimmy's going to go with Wembayama, Shaedon Sharpe of the Portland Trail Blazers. He is a sharpshooter. I think he's going to do well. They're going to, with Scoot Henderson just coming in, Shaedon Sharpe is going to be the guy.
I was watching all these videos the other day where it was these guys who were doing drafts for NBA, and then they were showing how they spent all of their money to draft Victor Wembanyama.
Hey, did we set up our draft time? We got to do that.
Yeah, we did. I forgot when it is, but it's set up, and then Dynasty is set up as well too.
Okay, I didn't see it.
Yeah. Hey, who'd you keep on your Dynasty, Jed?
So it Tatum, what's his face in Atlanta, the guard.
Yep, Trey.
Yeah, Trey
Trey,
Young, and then who are my other two? Gosh, I'm blanking. I don't have it off the top of my head. It was we only did 4 though, right?
Yeah,
only
because I had
4.
to get rid of Kevin Durant.
Oh wow, yeah, because your team was so stacked.
Yes, it came down to Kevin Durant. I mean, there's no one else. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. So I ended up going with Steph Curry over Kevin Durant.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I would take Curry. I love having Curry. He's
Yeah.
just-
Hey, last year I had Shea Alexander. I traded him away, and he look at him. He's a dynasty keeper right now.
Yeah, he's good.
Oh, that's it. Kyrie Irving and LaMelo Ball. So I've got like the all point guards, like Kyrie Irving, LaMelo Ball, Trey Young, and then Jason Tatum. That's my group.
Yeah, and Jimmy has to. He's going to use up all his money on Wembayama because if he doesn't, somebody's going to grab him, and so he doesn't have too much. It's going to be a rebuilding year for Jimmy as he rebuilds the team.
Yeah. Hey, you guys paying attention? It's baseball playoffs or no?
No, not really.
Yeah.
The only big thing here is the Diamondbacks made the playoffs, and now they're going to play the Dodgers. So it's going to be most likely Dodgers versus Phillies, and then also it's going to be like Rangers versus the Astros.
I was the Diamondbacks is the one that the GM is the Asian woman, right?
No, that's Miami.
Marlins.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I would have cheered for that, but no.
Now the only thing is, I will be in Los Angeles next Tuesday, so the Dodgers are playing at Game 2. So I was trying to figure out if I should go and see Game 2.
Yeah.
No, Jed, Tommy was trying to get tickets to go see Picard do a book reading.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw you asking about that.
It was sold out. I'm trying to look everywhere for Picard interview by Jordi LaForge, but I can't find anyone with tickets.
That's funny.
Tom, are you going by yourself to LA or someone going?
No, we have 3 other people going to LA for meetings.
Oh, okay. What days are you going to be there?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to this NBA draft because, I love my stud team, all right? So I'm really excited about the stud team that I get to roll out again.
Well, I'm glad that it's down to 4 players, though. That'll help us a little bit. We'll see.
Yes, but that means I'm going to have to spend all my money on Kevin Durant or something like that. Yeah. Because now, at the same time, on a separate note, as we wrap up here, I do like a Wayne Kessler from the Utah Jazz. Because if you need someone with rebounds and blocks, Wayne Kessler is pretty good. And Jaren Jackson is pretty good as well, too.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we'll talk next week. Thanks, guys.
Good to see you guys.
All right.